I'm Margaretha. What I'm about to share with you is one story about a child. Her name is Audi. I worked with her this May because she was one of the victims of the Surabaya bombing. Audi is 8 years old, lively child, the firstborn of the 3 children in one house. So one day, she went to this church with her parents and 2 other children. And after prayer, she went out, and then suddenly there was a blast. All she could remember was the screaming, the sound of people panicking, and how her mother grasped her and take her into the downside of the room of the church to make sure that she's safe. She didn't mention anything about horrific accidents, but she remembered vividly about the anxiety of people in her surrounding. After that day, May 13, she felt very anxious. She could not sleep for a few days. She found herself could not eat for several days. So her parents kind of worry. But I want to share with you that Audi is a survivor because she will become a great, brave person. Why? Because she lived in Surabaya. What happened with Surabaya after Surabaya bombing is totally different from other cities in the world after terror. Because the survivor spirit raised from Surabaya. We don't see just phrases of acceptance, but we see phrases like, we are not afraid. We fight against terrorists. We pray for Surabaya, however, we make sure that we are not afraid. So this is one thing about spirit of Surabaya in dealing with fear. You can also see many visuals coming out after May that showing how Surabaya people fight against this terror. And we want to show the world that we will not surrender by the fear and terror that is spread in our city. Actually, the message is more like angry, because people in Surabaya kind of being angry. They don't like their home is being messed up by these people. So that's why the message is the word of something against of terrorists, and of course other phrases as well, like showing that we will find our harmony even though we face with fear and terror. So what happened with people in Surabaya? People in Surabaya, you should know that there are Javanese, but egalitarian spirit is there. This is not a hierarchical community. In Surabaya, people can connect with each other in harmonious, but also egalitarian. And we are accustomed to live in harmony with people from many backgrounds, including religion, ethnicity, and many things else, because we are a melting pot. Our city port of Surabaya has been used for for years to meet new people. That's why we're accustomed of meeting new people. And this communal identity is now getting stronger to fight against terrorism. And of course, Surabaya, with the fighting spirit, we want to make sure that the terrorists know we refuse to be stricken down by this terror. So that's why the message is, we are not afraid. After the message is conveyed to the community, many people come down to the street and to show their spirit. We walk down in this path to show that we are not afraid. We feel very sad about what happened. However, we want to show that we are not afraid. So Audi lives in this kind of community. She is not living in a city that is broken down by terror, but she lives in a community where the people are trying to strive and trying to show that we are not afraid. Surabaya people also show compassion. We do not just show that we are brave enough, but we are kind enough to help one another. Here you can see that there are people who are coming to the hospital to give their blood, because we know that the victims need blood after the attack. In addition to that, many institutions, including universities, also show cares for the community. We provide psychological support for people who are affected by the disaster, also cares and support for the victims in the hospital, and also going to the houses where the victims are. And I also did counseling for Audie and her family. Just next to the church who got affected by the bomb, there is a school. And this school also received psychological first aid education for the teachers and also parents, so they know how to deal with children who are traumatized by the bomb. I think this is also show one of the beautiful strengths about Surabaya, that right after the disaster, we strikingly going to pick up our strength and try to build up again our community. Just few days after the bomb, this school already start to prepare how to greet their student when they enter the school again. They need to make sure that they are ready because they know the students are having fear, and how to deal with that fear, how to be the teacher in that kind of crisis situation, they already prepare. Also the police. At that time, the police are very busy, not just making sure that the city is safe, but also they're going to places, including, this is one of the mall in Surabaya. They're going there because they want to keep the spirit of the malls, because at that time, people are really afraid to go out, including to the malls. And these people who work in the malls, they were developed to make sure that they know how to deal with security issues and how to make sure that people are safe in the public areas. And the other thing that is kind of also affected us at that time is the media hype, the crisis. So there were times, just few days during the bombing and also after the bombing, the media start to show many messages in TV, radio, also in the social media, communication, people spreading information, but not just any communication. Some people also share the wrong message. What is wrong message? The message that is intensifying the fear and terror. Within 1 week, Facebook and also the government of Indonesia shut down at least 120 accounts during that time in Facebook. Why? Because they're sharing the intensifying terror and fear for people. That is not what we want. If we want to be brave, if we want to be good enough to fight against terrorists, we do not share information about how bad is the situation, because we will intensify the terror and fear. And also at that time, we also deal with the rising of Islamophobia. Some of my friends who wear long hijab and also with beard, they're kind of being insulted as terrorists. Why? Because people start to have this suspicion against each other. That is one of the effects of terror. And the other thing about media, because people are so determined to put everything on social media, they lack of concern how to portray these important crisis messages. Some people really want to show how bad the body, the remains of people, and share it with WhatsApp, social media, and everything. But they do not concern about how this will affect others' psychological condition. It may increase fear. And the other thing about crisis and media hype is we kind of undermine and underrated the strength. Because even during crisis, strengths are there. We can see that people actually are helping each other during crisis. But that is not shown in TV. What often portrayed is just about the disaster, the negative impact. But how about this? How about if we portray more that people, no matter what background they have, but they work together to make sure that Surabaya will be safe. Like here, this is from NU. They work closely with the church. After the bombing, they make sure that Christians are safe in their church. I think that is one strength, one important message that should be conveyed over and over compared to the disaster message. So, with regard to this experience, I think how to be brave in the face of terror or fear, we need to remind ourselves to do these things. 1, intensifying the strength. Media, including us who use the social media, we need to make sure that the message we're sending are intensifying the strength, not the fear. Because otherwise, we will be the tools of terrorists. We will share what terrorists want to make other people afraid. But let's do sharing about how good we are taking care of each other, how good we are trying to make our city become safe again. And the second, learning from my experience working with Audie, I understand that she has good social support from her family. Family, friends, and community are essential to make sure people relieved by the terror after crisis. So don't be isolated. During time of fear, do not be yourself. Do not be in isolation with yourself, but work with other people, talk with other people, make sure you get connected. And thirdly, I think in order to be brave, we also need to strengthen our identity to fight against terrorists. We need to show where we are. We are in the position of terrorists, because that is giving us empowered sense also, that we are different. And fourthly, kindness is always a great help. During time of terror, during time of fear, it is easy for us to look into ourselves, just making sure that we are safe. However, I believe we become even braver if we can help other people in time of crisis. So we get out from ourselves to help other people, and that will increase our bravery. And back to Audie again. Just 2 weeks after the bombing, after consultation with the parents, I came to their house and do short counseling with her, and she drew me this picture. Maybe you can't really see it, but that picture is about a book, a pencil, and a flower. So beautiful, with the handwriting so soft. She has a soft heart. But from here, I understand she has good social support from her family, and she lives in Surabaya. That's why she will become a survivor. Just few days after my meeting, I understand that she will have her first communion. That means she needs to return to the church, return to the time of trauma. Amazingly, she returned. Just about 3 weeks after the bombing, Audie, 8 years old girl, who's brave enough to go beyond her fear, to go beyond her anxiety, with the support from the family, she returned and she had her first communion. This is one beautiful story that I can share with you, and hopefully I can also share this spirit from Surabaya, survival spirit, Surabaya Wani. Thank you.